Morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for joining us this morning. My name's John. So I'm a director of HB Tech. For those who don't know me, we're an IT company based in Hampshire, and we provide outsourced IT services to around 140 businesses and charities. Our plan is to be the IT company that everyone recommends, or put it another way, the John Lewis of IT. So helpful and friendly staff, good quality equipment, services, etc. And today we're talking about Microsoft Copilot for Microsoft 365, which Copilot is Microsoft's generative AI based on ChatGPT. Our presenter today is Nathan from Pax8, who's going to spend the next 45 minutes to an hour just giving us an overview of Copilot. Pax8, just if you don't know them, they're a Microsoft CSP who have a team of specialists in all sorts of Microsoft products, of which Nathan is one of the very best. So, which we'll find out in the next hour. The webinar is based on those who've heard of Copilot, who want an overview for what it can provide to your organization. So if you know the name, if you've heard about AI and just want a general overview, that's what we're providing today. If you've already been using it for ages and you just want those extra kind of fine tips and tricks, but this is probably not for you, this is going to be just a good overview of what it can do. And finally, if you have any questions, put them in the Q&A. I'll either respond in the chat or if appropriate, I will interrupt Nathan, or maybe we'll park it to a later point if I know there's a topic coming up. So Q&A for the chat. So that's it for me for now. I'm just going to hand over to Nathan.
Awesome. Thank you, John. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, just in ways of short introduction. So Nathan Stokes, I run the Microsoft programs and TSI activity across all of EMEA, have done for around 10 years and always been focusing on the SMB market. So yeah, really excited to discuss with you the benefits and outcomes of what you can get from Microsoft Copilot for those that have maybe watched some of the awesome videos online, some of those that have maybe used ChatGPT and wanted to understand how this mixes into the Microsoft ecosystem. And I really want to kind of provoke some thought on this presentation. How can this impact my business? How can this impact me as a user? So like John said, please put as many questions as you can. I want to try and make sure that you get the most of the next 45 minutes or so. We're going to go through an overview of the findings that Microsoft and the SMBs that have been using it thus far have found from this. The actual benefits that will be covered per app of where Copilot sits within, and then also some persona-based pieces. So, you know, if you work in something that's more creative, which could be a marketing role or sales-related leadership, maybe even operations, wanting to kind of blend that into the personas of who does what and how does it work. For Copilot, just to set the scene a little bit, I would love for everyone to try and consider pillars of value of what Copilot brings to the table. Excuse me. So those 4 pillars are quantity of work, quality of work, digital skill, and business culture. If you can try and keep that, write that down, maybe just try and keep that into your thought process, because Copilot really has an impact on all 4 of those things. How much work are we getting done, or can I get done? How can I improve my quality of work? Where am I getting my data from? What am I looking at when it comes to proposals, email drafts, internal content? Which apps don't I like spending time in? Normally it's going to be things like Excel and PowerPoint, for an example. And then how do people feel doing maybe sometimes mundane tasks, you know, day-to-day work? What can we do to actually improve people's enjoyment or their creativity so they feel free to go and actually do more things and different things, let alone the brand of the organization that you actually sit in when it comes to an AI plan or an AI strategy. Here's just a small example of the most dominant Copilot apps. This isn't exclusive, but these are the ones that we spend most of our day-to-day workings in within 365, and these are going to be the ones that we cover in great detail. AI is having an impact. It's having a significant impact in the world. For those on the call that use ChatGPT, maybe tell you a story, improve your CV, create some marketing content, rewrite emails. To reach 100 million users in 3 months was a phenomenal feat. As you can see, it completely smashed anything that was social media based, even the core internet, or even the mobile devices that really changed how we do day-to-day work or live our lifestyles. So there's a clear appetite for the market or the world for the use of generative AI to improve day-to-day tasks, for creativity, for streamlining processes. But then there was a big question mark that got posed with the use of ChatGPT. Is it safe? How is this going to impact the actual data that I hold within my business or as a personal user, due to the fact that everything had to be submitted into this AI engine rather than it being exposed to what you're already working on today? And those are going to be some of the things that we address also. For context as well, for those that maybe aren't as boring as I am, the ChatGPT model is run off of OpenAI's engine, their AI engine. Copilot is run off the exact same thing. I know it's probably unnecessary detail, but for those that aren't aware, I do like to just share it. Microsoft made a 49% investment into the company of OpenAI, and this is where this tech has generated from. It's their partnership with OpenAI that's allowed to take their awesome capabilities that they use within the engine of ChatGPT and install it into your day-to-day apps within 365. It's always great to start with some numbers. What is the world saying? How are they saying it? So from a report done by the World Trade Index, which is commonly used by a lot of the large technology companies, if we look at Google, Meta, Microsoft, just to name a few, they did a report across both enterprise and SMB to understand what was the feeling towards utilizing AI tools within an organization, and how, what opportunity did it present. And as you can see, there are some staggering numbers here. 64% of people struggle finding time and the energy to get work done. And even though that's a really high number, that's just getting the work done. That's not creating freedom or the idea of being able to change a process, improve their quality of work, maybe challenge how something is done. So we're just struggling just to get sometimes the work that's set in front of us done, let alone looking to improve things or amend things. 3x was the amount of time spent in Teams since February of 2020. We are living within Teams. It doesn't matter if it's external communication with some of your customers or partnerships that you hold. Obviously, all internal action often gets run or shared within Teams. Meetings, obviously, this meeting being a prime example, this event being a prime example. Documentation sharing, collaboration, who's working on what projects, how's it getting done? And some businesses are even taking it further with installing third-party apps to help with personal or collective goal tracking. Phone calls, you can actually base your telephone system within Teams, so you don't even have to leave the app to make external and internal communications. And then you've even got approval processes. Maybe that's sign off for budgets, maybe that's expenses, maybe that's client events, whatever it may be. You've got people really embedding and living within Teams. So again, what can we do to streamline that if there's so much activity going on in there? 70% of people share of people who would delegate as much as possible to AI. So again, that appetite piece, there's a lot of people that are willing to get rid of some of these mundane, boring tasks to something that could potentially do 75, 80, 90% of the work for them. 2x likelihood of a leader saying AI will provide value with boosting productivity. And cutting headcounts. The cutting headcount piece is always a bit of a controversial one. There's a lot of thought and theory around AI is going to take jobs and it's going to replace A, B, and C. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's not going to be the case, especially how it's being conducted into devices like robots or other elements like actual bots that sit on websites and call centers and so forth. I want to be very clear on this element of AI. This is an AI assistant. So this is never actually going to do the job for you per se in regards to just automatically respond to an email or help create a PowerPoint presentation, help with sales notes, meeting content. This is going to work alongside you through instruction, through ask. So this is definitely on the assistant side rather than actually doing it for you, which again will increase and enhance productivity. It will allow the users that are using it to get more done in a creative manner. It will allow people to find more time in their day to potentially go and uncover more things that could be done to improve both customer satisfaction, internal processes, whatever that may be. The early access program happened in October of last year. And again, some really powerful numbers. I'll let you kind of download what's on the screen, but there is a couple I really want to point out. 67% of people that were a part of the early access program were able to spend more time with their customers. Most people, not most people, roles that are employed for customer-facing activities, that is their primary role. It's there for account management, customer engagement. It's there for making sure that people stay connected to the business. New sales are potentially found. So if we're looking at a tool to enhance productivity in the day-to-day, but also actually buy back time into an employee's role to do more of what they've been employed to do, this is one of the important factors to consider when it comes to the use of Copilot. Even the one just underneath, 64% better personalized customer engagements. So again, that time there, you wanted to take some raw data within an Excel spreadsheet around the customer, and that could be invoices, that could be activities, projects, that could be costs for certain activities. What are we doing to make this more personalized and consumable? How can we take a raw data set within Excel and within maybe 10 or 15 minutes have this into a pie chart or bar chart to make it a lot more easy for visual understanding? What are we doing to make sure that we're cross-referencing data that's held within a customer or a project in the business to then translate that to a message to customers, but being able to do it where you may have an archive of half a year, 5, 10 years worth of information, where you may want to pick out certain bits of element or even just summarize the whole experience of that customer with you. And then the last one I'll leave you with, as I hope you've been reading through, is 85% get a good first draft faster. That's really the reason I point out that one is I've been speaking about Copilot to SMBs now for about 6 or 7 months, been working with SMBs for 10 years. And I think there may be a little bit of a, not a misunderstanding, but an idea that this is going to do the work for you. I do want to make something very clear. The use of Copilot, whether it's drafting emails, creating content, summarizing meetings, whatever it may be that you'll use, and you'll see a lot more practical examples as this session goes on, is going to do around 85% of the work for you, leaving that space for you to polish that item, to create something that's going to be perfect. Make sure that the final touches are done. I'll give you a sneak preview or an idea. I hold a lot of content with presentations I do. The deck that you're actually being exposed to, I did not create myself. Copilot created this deck for me, if you wanted just a quick real life example of the impact it can do with first drafts. Faster, better, and easier. Again, I won't read these out to you. I'll let you take the time to quickly browse through them. But just a couple of bits of feedback from businesses that have actually adopted or did adopt Copilot in its early phase. And the context with the numbers that I've exposed you to so far, and some of the feedback from customers that have used it. This was at a time where Copilot doesn't have the capabilities of what it has today. It has quite an aggressive roadmap from Microsoft with new things being launched in it. I'll give you an easy example of Python being added into Excel. There's a really cool feature I'm going to show you a little bit later around making an email sound like you. A lot of these capabilities and features did not exist when the early access program was around. So we're seeing great feedback, great statistics on time saved and how it impacted businesses without it being in full production as what we have access to today. Microsoft's terminology, I wanted to try and clear up a little bit for you. To John's point at the start of the call, for those that maybe have been using it, done some internal investigation or searched for what this product can do, you may have noticed that there's quite a lot of names for this product. So I wanted to try and clear up what these are. When you see Copilot and Copilot Pro, as you can see, it's more aimed towards the individual, which is going to seem ironic because you can see Copilot under the organization brand as well. But Copilot Pro more specifically is one that has made a lot of noise and one that does seem to reach a lot of SMBs, but this is for an individual. So this is not set for an organization. You will not benefit from having it within your Microsoft domain, your Microsoft graph. And that just means all the data that sits within your business or your own Microsoft apps. Moving over to the organization piece, the ones that we're really targeting or focusing on is Copilot and Copilot for M365. This is where you will get the ability to use it within teams, within your applications from a work perspective. So you're not just managing or working off documents that you own, but also collaboratively off of an organization, especially if you're trying to find documents within a busy Teams environment or a dense SharePoint site, as an easy example. The Microsoft Graph, that just means it's searching for everything that you've got across all apps as well, which is really powerful. I'm going to showcase one of the really cool features of Copilot called M365 Chat. This app allows you to essentially be the it's the open door for all of the applications, all the data within your 365, and also help you with the organization piece. So if there was someone on this call that potentially had to book a meeting with several team members within their organization, often you would have to go into Outlook, add calendar, and find all those people and try and find the next 45 minutes or hour slot where everyone's free. An easy example of where that can benefit is now you don't have to do that. You would be able to go into M365 chat and say, I would like to have an hour meeting with John, Sarah, and Steve. When's the next time they're all available? Copilot will then find that slot for you and invite the invitation to be sent and created, just to give you an assistance. Copilot itself, more focusing on the free element underneath the organizations, you've got access to that, excuse me, today, which is, it's the way I describe it is the corporate version of ChatGPT. So for those that have used ChatGPT for work purposes, I would advise for you to consider this as an alternative. A couple of core reasons. ChatGPT is a learning model. So the more it gets exposed to, the more you share with it, the more it will learn and potentially share. Not directly, so it's not going to say Steve said X, Y, and Z, or this company shared X, Y, and Z, but due to the fact that it's a learning model, when you submit IP, ideas, or even processes, if someone asks a similar question, there's a small chance of competitive edge being lost. ChatGPT is also open to OpenAI employees to look, not to say that they would, but that capability is open to OpenAI, and it also stores and saves all of your chat. So there's a lot of risk in regards to content that's shared. Copilot has the same engine. It works off of the same AI capabilities, but it's based within the safe area of your domain, of your Office 365. So that means you can enter as much corporate information as you see fit, ideas, IP, or anything in between, with no risk of the model learning. No one at Microsoft can access it, and it does not store and save any of your sessions. And for those that are on the call, going back to John's point, that have explored this, wanted to start to play around with it, or even potentially even using Copilot to date, it's a great way to start to flex the muscle of how do I engage with these large language models, these generative AI tools. As much as it's wonderful that we can just use common language and we can ask it to do certain things and change certain things, there is a skill to this. There is a new skill to learn, which is how do I prompt this AI engine for this end result? So it's a great place to start, to benefit from AI to start with, and have that as an asset, as a weapon for your users in the organization, to have it in a safe place, whilst also learning the best processes as you progress towards using it within your Office 365 applications. The last thing with Copilot, I'm not sure if anyone's used DALL-E 3, which is the image creation, which is really awesome. It's really cool to create images for events, for internal processes, newsletters, whatever it may be. DALL-E 3 is now available in that free Copilot, which is from the license of Business Standard upwards, which is very common in the SMB market. And then the very last thing I'll share with you is if anyone wants to see something really cool and hasn't seen it just yet, there's something called Sora. It's spelled S-O-R-A, and it's the prompt to video. So we've got prompt to text, prompt to content creation, image creation. We've now got video creation, and that soon will also be set within that free tab you can see there in Copilot. So any questions on that, make sure you go to John and team, because that's a fantastic place to start with your AI use. Last couple of pieces in regards to numbers, but again, I really wanted to focus on this because of those 4 pillars I told you at the start: quantity of work, quality of work, digital skill, and business culture. Time saved. So this is based at a employee who earns £55,000 a year. The ROI for the solution, which is one of the biggest considerations for most things tech, especially outside of core functionality with what you need: laptop, Teams, internet, and so forth. As you can see, there's a very clear ROI to be seen for someone earning around 55,000. Those numbers will obviously scale or change depending if they earn more or less. And just for context as well, as you're looking at some of these numbers, 1.5 hours is 68% return, fantastic. The average user, just for your information, the average user time saves during the early access program was 10 hours. That was the average. So a very clear ROI just for time saved in the organization, let alone trying to put any metrics towards the quality of work, branching out into new applications so they don't have to rely on other teams, or even how people are feeling about their day-to-day work and their appetite to do more. Yeah, a couple of, again, really impressive numbers. The only one I'll focus on is that 40% plus increasing quality of responses to subtasks. But again, just more evidence to show that this tool is having a significant impact on organizations. And I think one thing that isn't shared enough, that I do start to share a lot more now, is you're working in a very competitive industry yourself. It doesn't matter if there's people in here from a law firm, from manufacturing, from hospitality. You're working in very competitive fields yourself. There's businesses in your same sector that have adopted this. This has been adopted a lot quicker to the SMB market than anyone ever thought. So there are people that are utilizing and benefiting from these numbers that you compete against. So you've got to start thinking about competitive edge. Who's getting more work done? Are you competing against a company that has a smaller team than you, but maybe they're getting more done? And what are the question marks around that? And then that was the last example from the World Trade Index, which was the early access program of the average hours saved per month. Yeah, time saving is just the beginning. It really is. You know, I spoke about the 4 pillars again, and business sentiment and business culture, increase employee satisfaction and well-being. You know, a lot of these things I'm going to talk about, whether there's pillars of value, whether it's the things you can see on screen, these are things that businesses consider now. These aren't new topics, but now you've got a way to easily address them or to improve them. If you're moving with a narrative in the business of really trying to address burnout or the risk of burnout, there's a number of fantastic tools in the market to support with that. But what are those proactive steps and measures that are put in place? What are we doing? Is it, you know, half a Friday off? Is it making sure that you spend more time with your employees to understand how they're feeling? Is it looking to shift or move around workloads? There's lots of tactics that business are installing, but you've also got one here that ticks many boxes in one go. The quality of work, again, I do stress that a lot now in regards to content that's been shared via blogs online, trying to get brand exposure, emails to clients to try and close opportunities, whatever it may be. The opportunity of using this tool to improve your quality of work is massive. And I always like to give real life examples, so I'll just share one quickly with you. I sent an email to one of my colleagues in Ireland around some of the initiatives that we were driving there. This colleague's relatively new to the organization, and I composed something that covered all the points I wanted, but I didn't feel like it had enough emotion to it. It didn't demonstrate the willingness and the drive and the passion that we had towards some of the things that we were working on. So I simply asked Copilot to take my email, reformat it if it thought it had a better way of sounding, but then add more emotive language. And within, again, 2 or 3 minutes, it was able to take a relatively lengthy email, structure it in a slightly different way so it had a better journey for the person reading it, whilst adding emotive language to it, which then would have resonated a lot better with the individual that was receiving it. Small improvement, but again, it enhanced my quality of work through there. Like I've shared with you already, this PowerPoint was generated by Copilot, or around 80% of it. So it's improved my quality of work, seeing as I'm not actually on a personal level that good within PowerPoint. So it's helped me greatly from that sense. And then digital debt. This may not mean too much to people on the call, but digital debt is time wasted. How much time is being wasted trying to find that information using your IT? What are the apps that are slowing you down? What's costing the user or the business too much time, which is then costing money in the use of some of their technologies? What can we do to simplify it? Again, Copilot can help assist with this problem. I've got a series of examples now of where Copilot has an impact. But I wanted to start off with a video that was created a little while ago, just introducing you to some of the capabilities. It's going to be a little bit overwhelming, but there's a lot there. And the purpose of this video is to showcase all the things that Copilot can actually assist with. I'm going to start the video just cautious. I want to make sure that you can actually hear it. No, apologies. Give me 1 second. as you can see, working within some of the apps. The reason I like to share it is, especially when there's the scene of when it's flashing between all the things you could request, whether it's in Teams meetings, some of the PowerPoint apps, Excel, and so forth. The great thing about it is, due to the fact of how fast this tool's growing, it's got a lot of these pre-made prompts for you to help you assist with, do I want to analyze this table for further information? Do I want to ask more specific questions on how or what happened within a Teams meeting? Do I want to analyze the transcripts to ask what important questions were held from this internal training or from a client? But the great thing about it is, as much as we see a lot of content like this, and there's some amazing things I can share with you on or after this call, this is only ever growing. There's only ever more capabilities, and it's always around molding towards the individual's needs. So you may have seen one or two things that, that would have really helped actually with our meetings, or that would have really helped with creating this content around a lot of this documentation that we have. But a lot of this can mold and form around what your desires are or needs within the organizations, with the capabilities growing nearly on a weekly basis. Yeah, what is the impact then? What impact can it have on my day-to-day workings? Effective meetings, quick catch-up on meetings that you've missed, summarize meetings, and identify some next steps, and run more effective meetings. One of the best things, if anyone on this call, if their diary ever looks like Tetris, where they've got meeting on top of meeting and internal, external meetings happening, sometimes you have to make a decision. I'm just going to cancel or not attend this one, or I'm going to ask my colleague how this call went, whatever it may be. Talking about kind of summarizing meetings and identifying next steps, you've got the opportunity now, especially for meetings internally that you're not presenting on, or you don't have to actually contribute to, but just bear witness to what's being shared or presented on. You can send Copilot to go and follow this meeting now. So you can go and attend that client call or that training course or whatever it may be, the other meeting you've got in your diary, whilst Copilot goes and attends the other meeting for you, giving you that full summary, giving you a breakdown of the next steps, actions. Are there dates associated to it? What deck was used so I can understand what was shared? Was my name brought up or mentioned? And then the best thing around that is you can then go back and engage with that meeting. So you can go back and ask Copilot, what was the sentiment of this meeting? Oh, there was an element of frustration. Was my client brought up? What tools or links were shared? You can go back and engage with the actual tool up to 90 days after the event, even though you didn't take part in it yourself, which is awesome. Even just the simplistic nature of not having to take notes, not having to distract yourself with typing something on OneNote, or even being physical with pen and paper. Knowing that you can speak freely, be very present within the meeting, and have Copilot summarize all of this for you. You can even engage with the engine in real time. So as you were in a meeting, you can ask it to recap the meeting so far, 15 minutes in. You can ask for follow-up questions, unresolved questions. So it can actually enhance your ability to be more effective within meetings, whether it's internal or external. Data analysis, get answers across all data that you have within 365, instantly uncover key insights, and create powerful and professional visualizations. Again, what are we doing now to try and take the raw data that we possess, again, with customer engagements, with invoices, but with stock invoices, whatever it may be? What are we doing to make that visual? How can we understand it quicker? How can we share it quicker? And businesses even take the time to hire data analysts for some of these activities. And it's not to say that they don't have a place, because they still will, but they'll be able to have a place. They'll be able to have an impact in a bigger space. Whilst things of this nature, you'll be able to conduct yourself, and they will be professional, they will be accurate, and you'll be able to do this through common language, asking the tool to do this with simplicity. Content creation, creating documents, presentations, and charts, being able to get something off the ground very, very quickly and catch up with key points of documentation. The middle one there, quickly catch up with key points from a documentation. Again, a real life example. When you've got lengthy contracts, so when you've got customer agreements, or maybe a vendor that you use, whatever it may be, the time spent sometimes on navigating through a 15-page contract, a 10-page contract. Well, if there are one or two things that are very particular for you as an organization, you can ask Copilot to scan that document and find out, has this got this in it? We're looking to identify this language or this words. You're able to take documents that are shared internally and summarize them a lot quicker. What was the content here? What is the summary? What is the objective? Again, the speed of work is being impacted significantly. And then email processing, draft emails instantly, personalize the tone and length, and quickly summarize lengthy email threads. I think everyone suffered with that, whether it's coming back from annual leave, or whether it's people in the business engaging with a lengthy topic and you've got 10, 15 people on the thread with a 20 email deep thread. Do you want to read every single one, or do you want the summary of what's been discussed? Give you the quick content, give you the punchy information. Impact on function. So again, breaking it down per persona. Again, I'll point out just a couple here, but having better sales conversations and closing more opportunities, analyzing sales data, summarizing campaign results. How quickly are we getting this information, and how can we use it to pivot and adjust what we're doing to then have a bigger impact elsewhere in the organization? But again, Copilot isn't just a singular license for one user. This is across an organization, as you can see by some of the impacts across each function. I've got another real life video of the use of Copilot within M365 chat, which is the one I gave you the example of earlier, of being able to book a meeting in with a team member across organizations. But I'll give you a better idea of where this can function within the org, and then how you can maybe use it on some of the objectives that you have.
Introducing Microsoft 365 Chat, a powerful new capability in Microsoft 365 to solve your most complex problems at work. Let's say you're a marketer at a national chain of home improvement stores, and you need to get the latest on the store opening. You start your day with Copilot, asking what's hot in your inbox today. It does some thinking and gives you an overview of the most pressing items. Great. Looks like the new store opening plans could use your attention. Let's dive in deeper there. Copilot combs through all your recent emails, chats, documents, and meetings, whether you attended them or not, to get you up to speed in moments. It didn't just summarize a single document, it knew what sources to pull from and what information to extract from each. Next, you need to do some market research. Let's say you want some details on square footage and the proximity of competitors to your new location. M365 Chat scours the web, and within seconds, it finds everything you're looking for. And it includes references, so you can easily fact-check the results. You're curious, how does this stack up against the other stores you opened in the past year? Copilot figures out which stores you mean, crunches the numbers, and gives you the answer. Next on your to-do list, finalize the date and speaker for the opening event. You missed the last meeting, and this might have come up in the conversation. Copilot's got you covered, getting you up to speed in seconds. Looks like it was a dynamic discussion, and it's your responsibility to make the final decision. To do that, you need to understand all the factors at play, including the implications they have on your grand opening timeline. Copilot extracts the relevant details and puts them in an organized table, which helps bring the full picture into view. You're not seeing a clear answer, so you ask it to recommend the best date and speaker based on the constraints discussed. It not only understands the constraints, it thinks through the options to help solve your problem. There you go. Now you have a clear recommendation, so you can make the call and notify the team. Now that you've got your opening date, you've got to get the customers excited. Time to write a blog post. You point Copilot to the right files and ask it to pick the top 5 things and make them prominent. Here it goes. Give it a moment. Okay, now you've got a blog post. This store will be the first to unveil your new home improvement concierge service, and you need a catchy tagline. Let's generate some options. This is great for when you've got a case of writer's block. Here we go. These look pretty good. You want to add a blurb on the new store manager and highlight their impressive retail experience. Copilot pulls the information from LinkedIn and puts it in the blog for you. The opening is just around the corner, and you've got to send an email to get the team ready. Now, one of the amazing things about Copilot is you don't need to worry about things like punctuation, spelling, or being super structured in your prompt. You can just give it a total brain dump, as you can see here. And what you'll find is the more context you give it, the better the results. There was a great quote in the store walkthrough video that you want to include, but you don't remember where you last saw it or have time to search for it, let alone rewatch it to find the quote. Based on your quick description, Copilot can find the exact video you're thinking of, extract the quote you wanted, and plugs both the quote and the video into your email. Let's hop over to Outlook to refine the email. So you like the draft, but it doesn't sound like you. Introducing Sound Like Me in Outlook. Now Copilot can personalize any email to match your unique style and voice. It even gets the subtle details right, like how you sign your emails. M365 Chat is a whole new way to work.
Yeah, so as you can see, it has a detrimental, or not detrimental, has a massive impact on how you can perform certain projects in an organization, bringing all of your apps and data together. I would love to see a couple of questions on, or even statements in the Q&A on how users think that that can impact their organization. Of all the apps.
Sorry, Nathan, there is one question in the chat which did come up in the video as well, actually, which is Duncan asked, is there a prompt library to ensure users don't waste our time asking Copilot questions it doesn't understand, or does it just automatically understand?
Yeah, fantastic question. Fantastic question. It's probably, like I said at the start on the slide where it was comparing Copilot to Copilot within Microsoft, prompt training or getting the best out of it is one of the biggest things that an organization needs to consider. So yes, there is a library. It's called Copilot Labs, and that's taken from the users that have been using the tool and getting the best outcomes. So what we often advise, there's around, I think 10 suggested prompts per app. So you can break it down per app on the website. But what we also suggest is new or good prompts are being found all the time, especially by users and businesses that are adopting this. So we advise you to use the labs to stop that, to bridge the gap of knowledge of, I want to use it in Excel, I want to use it in Outlook, what are the best things I should ask it? And then over the course of the time of becoming more familiar with it, almost building an internal library also. Something that's more befitting of your organization or how your users use it. But yes, there's content already to support with a very quick start. To add to that though, each app has suggested prompts when you go into it. So it will help kick you off, especially if you're in something like Word, PowerPoint, Excel, or even Outlook. There's suggested prompts for you, but there is also a good library for you to use it now as well. Yeah. Cool. Awesome. Moving on to
introducing.
Yeah, ironically, that's the next one. So Copilot Labs, talking about the enablement piece. And I want to talk about enablement a little bit here with the organizations that are considering what does this look like. What's been very evident now over the last 6 months or so, organizations that look to adopt this tool, the biggest and best success stories are not just those that have adopted Copilot, which is that free feature baked into your browser, Edge, or even your desktop. When it comes to actually using Copilot for M365, adopting it into small pockets of the company to start with has proven to be very, very successful. And then looking at polar opposite job roles. So if you were looking to adopt it for 2-3 users within the organization, that has been now seen as a good way to start the role or the phased role into the organization, but making sure that they have completely different responsibilities. Someone who's very customer facing, someone who's driven for internal processes. Because then what you get is you get those internal champions, those great knowledge sharers in regards to what they saw as a benefit. The person who does operations is going to use apps very differently to how someone who's a outward facing, client facing employee. So those are some of the great ways to make sure that it's adopted fully. And then to answer the question with even more specifics, you've now got Copilot Labs, which I'll share with you.
Introducing Copilot Lab, a new experience that will help people build new work habits for a new AI-powered era of productivity. Copilot Lab is a place to experiment, to learn the art and science of prompting. You'll learn how to turn a good prompt into a great one. Share your favorite prompts with coworkers, and get inspired as we all learn to work in a whole new way together.
Yeah, and that last piece, a whole new way to work together. Like I said at the start, this is a fast-moving tool, which is great because it means your return on investment only gets better. You buy a tool that has X capabilities today, and then in a month's time, it's got X, Y, and Z. And there is this new learning because as the capabilities grow and as people learn how to connect it to different tools and different ways of working, there's no defined way that, if I use Copilot as a comparison to Teams has a set of functionality. It's got an awesome set of functionality, but you can't go outside of that. Something like Copilot that's going to access new data, new apps, and you can expand it into other tool sets. So for those on the call that maybe use a CRM system like Dynamics or Salesforce, maybe even those that have got data sets in other IPs and other technologies outside of Microsoft, you may want to find a way to bridge the gap there, and you can by using something called Copilot Studio. Again, I'll give another real life example so there's context. I was speaking with a law firm not too recently around the use of Copilot being adopted in the business and how they wanted to use it in very niche examples. But what I came to discover is that they also had another solution that was outside of Microsoft that they store and save a lot of their information in, court cases that they've completed or took part in. And what they often task the junior associates to do is when they took on a new case, they wanted to go back into that archive and find something that was relevant. They wanted to understand the evidence that was provided and, you know, the length of time the trial went on, and, you know, all the things that you would imagine a business would want to do, cross-reference information to make their work either easier or more effective. But it was taking these junior associates a long time to get that information, especially if it was the effective information. So we spoke to them around the use of Copilot Studio, which is effectively creating your own Copilot in a data set that's outside of Microsoft, because everything we're discussing today is, you know, is it in 365? Is it in SharePoint? Is it in OneDrive? And then how are you using the apps to increase what you're doing with it? Well, we were able to work with them to create a Copilot Studio that could then go in and search for the documentation that these junior associates were able to find. So the impact on their organization increased significantly because all these junior associates that were taking hours to find the right things and were they finding all of them had now been almost removed overnight. Where with the key searches, with the right prompts, they were able to find the right court cases with the same terminology a lot quicker, whilst then spending more time doing a lot more of the due diligence to better prepare for the work that was ahead of them. So just another example of where you can benefit from this.
Introducing
Outlook, one of the most commonly asked questions, how's it going to impact me in Outlook? This one's going to be very specific around meetings, and that's where we spend a lot of our time, as one of the statistics showed at the start of the call. So I want to show you how it's going to impact, or how Copilot can impact your day-to-day workings in Outlook.
Copilot in Outlook can help you prioritize your time and stay on top of meetings. Here you've been invited to a meeting that conflicts with a meeting you're planning to attend. Clearly, you can only attend one. From the meeting invite, you can choose to RSVP with follow. Switching over to your calendar, you can see that you're now following this meeting. Once the meeting starts on Teams, the organizer will receive a notification to record the meeting because someone is following it. Now, after the meeting is done and the recording is ready, Copilot will notify you that the meeting recap is ready for you to review. You can then ask Copilot some questions about the meeting, like, summarize this meeting, or are there any action items for me? That way you can stay on top of things as if you were present during the meeting.
Massive time saver. Massive time saver, able to do a lot more, a lot quicker without having to bug a colleague or wait for a follow-up notes or whatever it may be. Probably one of the most adopted features I've seen thus far with working closely with some of the SMBs that we do this work with.
Imagine you have an appointment that conflicts with your week.
Oh. Apologies. Word, content creation, editing content or information that you have in the organization already. Where can Copilot help within Word?
When you've written a paragraph in shorthand, you can highlight it and click Rewrite. Copilot then offers several alternate options to choose from that are all written professionally. And it can translate wordy or complex paragraphs into digestible visualized tables. You can even use Copilot to add a column with extra data, which it can complete automatically. Copilot also makes you the expert on any document. Simply ask a question about the content, and Copilot will provide a concise response.
Again, great for internal documentation, great for client information or anything new that the business is launching. How quickly can you get used to a document? What is actually in it? So I want to finish off with a couple of last things, which is going to be in and around summarizing some of the key benefits in each app. Copilot within Teams, we've seen it be able to follow meetings. I've discussed already how it will impact meetings that you're already in, how you can ask it to recap 15 minutes in, give you suggested follow-up questions, whatever it may be. You've also got the benefits of Copilot being able to support with chats and channels. If anyone has come back again from annual leave, a busy day, and the chat's got 20, 25 messages, are you going to spend the time reading every single response or message? Or do you want a summary of what was discussed, or even asking Copilot just to catch you up with what's been with the chat or channel that you're in? It also greatly assists if you share a lot of documentation within Teams. So that could be new documents on products, that can be new documents on processes, it can be documents on anything. But even if it was shared 6 months ago and you know it was shared, which Teams channel was it shared on? Which SharePoint site is that sitting under? Which folder? Again, all of those things have now been removed because you can go into either M365 chat, SharePoint, or even Teams and ask it to find documents with the subject or the title of X. So again, speeding up that source of finding the right documentation, which is one of the biggest pains for a lot of businesses once they continue to collaborate and share a lot of information, which we find even in this organization. A lot of great stuff shared, but how do I get my hands on it? How do I actually access it quick enough? Word, we've seen it just then in regards to rewriting summaries. But one of the things it didn't share in that video, because I can't just put hours length of videos in there, is original content creation. So as much as you can do that within Copilot, which is what I discussed at the start of the call, that free option that you have, you can ask it to take an idea. So you can ask it to take an idea that's already been written about, or an idea from an article. You can ask it to take an email thread, and you can ask it to then build something off the back of it, which then once it's in a raw form of a Word document, you can then do what you see fit. Things like PowerPoint presentations, things like OneNote, sales content information. You can even ask it to cross-reference it with other docs in the organization. So is there something similar to this already being written, as an easy example? The ease and use now of being able to install things into Word documents, if that's how you do a lot of your client engagements or internal processes. So again, taking raw information from Excel and visualizing it into pie charts and bar charts and installing it straight into the Word doc, taking branding and helping DALL-E 3 make it more relatable to the task in hand. Another real life example, if there's any cultural behaviors like culture clubs, things that inspire more people to come together in an org, and you've got Easter coming up. This business just recently did a Paxate and an Easter bunny type logo. How quickly did that take to get made? How cool is it? Is it in the right tone? Is it in the right branding? Again, lots of these things are now being removed with the use of Copilot being done a lot quicker. Maybe you wanted to create a document that showed your business's brand with one of the customers you want to work with to show there is a real partnership. How quick is that going to take? Are you going to go into Google? How are you going to reformat it? How are you going to make something look really smart and professional? Again, a lot of these challenges are now being removed with the use of Copilot, especially again in Word. Copilot within Excel. Yeah, what are we doing? You know, I'm sure if I asked people on this call, how much do you enjoy spending time in Excel in general, let alone having to do any activity within there, you know, putting formulas in there, making data consumable, relatable even. You know, the biggest problem I would say within this space, because I get this question a lot, is trusting the data you have rather than the outcomes of what Copilot's going to do with it, because Copilot's only going to work off of what it's presented with. But again, you know, gone are the days now where you have to go through 6 courses that Microsoft or a third party provide to be able to work out best formulas, put things in pivot tables, again, make them into visual data sets. You've now got a model where you can engage with it with common language and ask it to do so. You can even, if you want to be really cool, you can even then look to ask it to make comparisons. So when you saw on the M365 chat where it asked for competitor analysis, so it gave them a table of square footage of local shops over the course of a certain mile radius, you can then pull that information into Excel and see how 2 businesses compare depending on what it can pull from the internet on certain competitors. So again, the imagination of the use of this tool can go as far as you see it. Some of it can be just transactional, some of it can be brand new ways of how you do things. And then PowerPoint, one of the ones that's made my personal life a lot easier, I must admit. Again, not being very skilled in the tool, and focusing too much on building the presentation and not actually on the information that's going to be shared or the audience that's going to be present. But how quickly are we building PowerPoint presentations? I think I actually showed John and the team there where I could just copy and paste information from their website, put it into Word, save it, even as rough as it may have looked, with just quick copy and paste with no formatting, and then chuck it straight into PowerPoint. And I had a 10 or 12 slide presentation on one of the pages that John had on his website. That's how quick, on HP Tech's website. That's how quick you can get some of this content done. And again, going back to that point around, it's not going to do the full job for you, but it'll get 85% of the work done. You can then ask it to add animations, ask it to add a specific slide on some content, ask it to give evidence of where it's got this information from. So again, just speeding up that quality of work. OneNote, a tool that's not always massively utilized, but if it is, open-ended questions to the file that you've got within OneNote. I use OneNote quite a lot on some of the activities that I do with Microsoft or certain sectors, and some of those OneNotes are very, very dense. So again, without scrolling all the way through it, trying to find that core information, going onto the file and asking it to find things around budget changes, price increases, macro movements with the market. If I've taken research information from Harvard or Boston Consulting Group, it assists me with getting that information. And then once I've got it, I can do a lot more with it. Cool. Wanted to leave some time at the end, 8 minutes or so. Would love questions, questions of real life use cases, questions on anything you've seen today, even again, questions on how it can impact your business. Please do fire away.
So we've got one outstanding question, Nathan. I've been batting the rest of them off, so nice. And answering them. So, but I've got one left, which is it's asked: does it mark email sensitivity automatically when you attach sensitive content?
Does it attach it automatically? No. No, you would have to still put it as a sensitive email. But as that's been brought up, I also want to talk about the other side of the fence here, which is sensitive information, sensitive documents within an organization or anything of that nature. Copilot, as I'm hoping you would have just seen, even with a brief presentation on it, it's got many ways it can improve productivity. It's got many ways it can impact the user and the business. The other thought process there is what's being done within the organization to store and save sensitive information the right way. And this is where HP Tech and John can come in and play significantly, because as much as this has a tremendous opportunity to impact organizations, you've also got to consider if it's going to open itself up to the Microsoft Graph, which just means your Microsoft ecosystem and data. Are you saving and storing sensitive information around budgets, salaries, whatever it may be, through folder management? Or are you actually using some of the correct tools like tagging and labeling for sensitive documents that are in certain SharePoint libraries? So that means if I work for your organization and I search for market and budget, or maybe I just put budget because I was lazy, it's now going to find everything that's got budget related that I potentially have access to or that hasn't been locked down. So you could have maybe a junior employee access something in the organization that they shouldn't have. That threat even exists today. It just, they don't have an intelligent tool to use to find it. So a bit of a long-winded answer there, but no, it won't automatically do the the important email piece just because it's a sensitive document. That's still something you would have to do, but it will help obviously with the assistance of the creation of the email.
Right. Thank you, Nathan. I don't think we've got any other questions. None others have come in. So thank you for your time. That's the most important thing. Thank you for everyone who has attended. That's the next most important thing. So we use Copilot. Personally, for me, I find the Teams summary amazing. So to get to at the end of an hour's Teams meeting and have it summarized with action points, it's just a massive time saver. So, but Gemma, who's our marketing manager, she uses it for content creation. So something completely different, and she gets a whole load of benefit from it as well. So there's something for everyone. If you have enjoyed this and you want to see how this would fit into your organization, as Nathan just said, it's important you're Copilot ready, so that there's a whole load of work around that and guidance and what have you that you might need. And if you need any help with that, then do let us know. I've put some, if you're a client already, you'll be able to find me, I'm sure. If not, then I've put Billy's details just in the chat. If you want to have a chat with Billy, or if there's anything afterwards, then just give us a call. So the only thing just to finish off for us is that we are running or rather this webinar was delivered using the town hall feature of Teams, it's slightly different from the standard Teams. That's a feature of Teams Premium, for which we'll be running a webinar in May. See how that seamless link worked. But that's it. So keep an eye on our events page for that. That's it from us, and have a great day. Thank you. Goodbye.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.